He was forced to confess his love to a girl he didn't know. The bullies behind him took out their phones, ready to record the moment he made a fool of himself.
いいですよ。そういえば、名前なんて言うんだっけ？
神谷徹。
徹くんね。覚えた。
The girl's agreement shocked everyone. She not only asked for Toru's name and class, but also told him not to leave after school and to wait for her. What Toru didn't expect was that the video recorded by the bullies went viral, and now the whole school knew about it. Toru also learned through the video that her name was Maori. He waited anxiously until school was over, ready to face Maori's anger. However, Maori didn't look angry. Instead, she walked in with a look of playful arrogance. Seizing this opportunity, Toru hurriedly apologized to Maori, explaining that a friend of his was often bullied. To help his friend, he had no choice but to follow the bully's demand to confess. As long as they recorded the video of his humiliation, they would stop bullying his friend. Facing Toru's sincere apology, Maori didn't accept it. On the contrary, she felt that Toru doing this to protect his friend was a very cool act. But now, since the whole school knew they were together for the sake of her reputation and to continue protecting Toru's friend, Maori proposed that they simply pretend to be a couple to resolve the matter perfectly. However, Maori made 3 demands.
条件？
そう。1、放課後まではお互い話しかけないこと。2、連絡のやり取りはできるだけ簡潔にすること。それと3、本気で好きにならないこと。
Knowing he was in the wrong, Toru naturally agreed. Thus, a romance that began with a lie kicked off in an incredible way. To make this performance more realistic, Maori suggested they first get to know each other's basic information. She immediately took out a notebook she carried with her and seriously wrote down Toru's name, birthday, and even blood type. Her attitude as rigorous as if she were creating a character profile. At first, Toru didn't pay attention to this detail, but as they spent more time together, he discovered a fixed pattern. Wherever they went, Maori held onto that notebook tightly. Their casual chats, interesting things they accidentally saw, and even some trivial daily fragments were immediately recorded by her head down. A trace of curiosity rose in Toru's heart, but on second thought, many people have the habit of keeping a diary, so he politely suppressed his doubt and didn't ask more. Days passed, and they got along strictly abiding by those 3 rules, but their relationship quietly changed during the daily role-playing, gradually becoming friends who could chat easily. Maori even introduced her most trusted best friend, Izumi, to Toru. They would occasionally gather at Izumi's house, and Maori, as usual, held a notebook and recorded incessantly. Even the sunset visible every day would be recorded by her taking many photos with her phone, her expression focused as if she were collecting some fragile treasure.
ねえ、ちょっと撮りすぎじゃない？写真に残すよりもしっかりと目に焼き付けた方がいいと思うけど。
残しておかないと忘れちゃうから。全部。
At first, Toru didn't delve into Maori's emotion, only thinking it was her unique way of expression. This girl seemed to hide many stories, and thinking that they were just a fake couple, he politely kept his distance. Since they were pretending to be a couple, they inevitably had to create some evidence of spending time alone. So this weekend, they agreed to go to the seaside for a picnic. Toru prepared a lot of exquisite food he made himself. Maori took a bite, and her eyes immediately lit up. She couldn't help but praise him repeatedly, asking curiously how he was so good at cooking. Looking at the sea, Toru told his own story. When he was very young, his mother passed away from heart disease. His mother left a notebook, which carefully recorded many recipes and housekeeping tips, like a survival guide written in advance as if she sensed she couldn't accompany her son to grow up. Toru almost learned to live alone by following this notebook. Maori listened quietly. The sea breeze took away the words and brought a strange peace. Under the warm sunshine, she unknowingly relaxed and fell asleep. Yet, when she woke to the sound of the waves and looked around, and then at Toru beside her, her eyes filled with a sense of unfamiliarity, tinged with cautious confusion. The awakened Maori seemed like a different person. Her eyes were full of panic facing the unknown, completely unable to remember why she was at the seaside, let alone recognize the worried boy beside her. She subconsciously grabbed her bag, dug out her phone, found a name marked absolutely trustworthy in her contacts, and dialed her best friend Izumi's number. On the other end of the phone, Izumi understood as soon as she heard Maori's tone. She skillfully comforted Maori not to be afraid, and then told her to take out the notebook in her bag and read it to understand. On the other side, Toru, who was left where he was extremely anxious, completely not understanding what had happened. Just then, his phone rang. It was Izumi calling after finishing the call with Maori, comforting Toru not to worry, and that she would explain everything when she arrived later. Maori tremblingly opened that notebook, and as she read, a cruel truth floated before her eyes. It turned out she suffered from anterograde amnesia. After a car accident, her brain was damaged, and her memories were thereafter confined to a single day. Every night when she fell asleep, it was a formatting of memory. When she woke up the next day, she would forget past events. For 3 years, her way of survival was to seriously read the previous day's diary after waking up every day, using this to piece together her memory. She saw the record of the fake dating contract in the diary and saw the photo with Toru. The text and photos were like a key, forcibly opening the door of memory for her. She raised her head and looked again at the boy named Toru. The terror in her eyes faded, replaced by a heavy realization and deep apology. Maori tried her best to maintain a calm tone and told Toru the truth about her amnesia. Now he finally understood why Maori had been writing notes all the time. In order not to cause similar trouble for Toru, Maori decided to end this fake couple contract.
今日のこと日記に書かなければ明日の日野には伝わらないんだよね。
そうだけど。
だったら日記に書かなければいいんじゃないかな。眠ってしまったことも記憶障害について話したことも。
トール君はそれでいいの？
Toru gently explained to Maori that no one wants to see unhappy things when opening a notebook, so there was no need to write today's unpleasantness in the diary. Just then, Izumi arrived and explained it away using the excuse that Maori sleepwalks after falling asleep. However, Toru, who already knew the truth, brushed past Izumi's answer. That night, Maori sat at her desk recording the day like performing a daily ritual. Her pen tip hovered. She remembered Toru's words, so she tore out the unpleasant page. She couldn't bear to let go of this sunny, warm boy. After school the next day, a happy Maori found Toru and thanked him for yesterday's picnic bento. Seeing Maori's happy appearance, Toru knew she hadn't written the unpleasant events into the diary, and an emotion mixing heartache and determination spread in his heart. From this day on, Toru had a secret mission. He wanted to become the content editor of Maori's diary, so Maori could see more happy notes when she woke up every day. He took Maori to many places, experiencing gourmet food, admiring scenery, and even teaching her how to ride a bicycle. These happy moments were solemnly included in the diary by Maori. For her, every date was as fresh as the first meeting. But as she reviewed those illustrated records every morning, a cognition that transcended memory would slowly rise. She knew that a boy was using his unreserved present to heal her life that lacked a past and a future bit by bit. He himself became the most vivid and warm splash of color in her black and white diary. The emotion growing in Toru's heart that couldn't be defined made him tell his novelist sister, Sanai, everything about Maori for the first time. He was a little apprehensive, not knowing if this boundary-crossing guardianship was correct, but a word from his sister made Toru put down the stone in his heart. However, on the other side, Maori fell into a new distress. The diary grew thicker at a speed visible to the naked eye, and the content she needed to preview every morning became more and more like devouring a strange autobiography in a short time. The huge amount of information made her feel exhausted and panicked. She didn't know how long she could persist, or if she shouldn't live like a normal person at all. Just as Maori's self-doubt was about to drown her, Toru appeared with his signature sunshine-like smile. Just him standing in front of her made those heavy worries vanish instantly. Maori looked at him and silently swore in her heart that to see this smile every day she would also persist. Subsequently, in a convenience store, like all ordinary couples, they carefully selected a pair of cute penguin keychains. This small, life-filled ritual made Izumi, who was on the side, feel both gratified and sad. She was genuinely happy for Maori's joy at this moment, but the bystander's sobriety deep in her heart turned into lingering worry. How far could this affection built on daily reading actually go? However, Toru didn't take her worry to heart. After school that day, Izumi stopped Toru and reminded him that there was an important literary award ceremony live-streamed tonight, and his sister was likely to appear on TV. This became the most natural reason for Maori to gather her courage and, for the first time, take the initiative to invite Toru to her home to watch together. Walking into Maori's room, Toru's eyes were quickly attracted by a familiar object. That small penguin keychain was hanging on the handbag Maori carried daily. A burst of warm joy instantly surged into his heart. Maori had placed this shared memory in a place she would see every day. However, Maori was very confused. She didn't remember the memory regarding this penguin keychain at all. Notes, after all, could never record everything. Facing Toru's inquiry, Maori looked helplessly at Izumi.
ほら、水族館行った時のだよ。
Toru instantly felt a chill in his heart, and his first reaction was to leave. And this was exactly what Izumi was worried about. It wasn't until he saw with his own eyes the increasingly thick diaries Maori had to face when rising in the morning that Toru truly understood the weight of Maori restarting her life daily. That was not a habit, but a lonely, grand review, day after day, yet she never complained, and still chose to find a reason to persist in the desperate cycle. Toru's heart was deeply touched. Maori was so brave, so how could he retreat because of such a small matter? An important turning point appeared. Toru discovered that Maori hadn't forgotten the bicycle riding he taught her, and could even draw his outline by feel. After consulting materials, he learned this is called procedural memory. Those skills learned through the body that don't need deliberate words, like riding a bike or drawing. Once mastered, they are hard to forget. So he encouraged Maori to keep drawing, saying maybe her illness would slowly get better. And Maori also clearly felt that the lines under her brush became increasingly smooth. That hand feel hadn't disappeared along with yesterday's memory. So from that day on, drawing became her new diary. She always unconsciously sketched Toru's portrait over and over again, as if the brushstrokes could replace memory and engrave his appearance into her muscles. One day, Maori looked at a hair accessory for a while, but silently put it down due to the price. What she didn't expect was that Toru later gave it to her as a gift. This boy could always accurately plant surprise and hope in her day-after-day blankness. Love had long quietly rewritten the initial contract. The first two of the three conditions agreed upon had long disintegrated during their time together. At this moment, Maori felt her heart filled with unprecedented courage. She decided to personally break the last and most important rule. She reached out her hand and gently held Toru. At this moment, Maori was incredibly happy, almost dizzy. However, when she remembered that such an important moment, along with the temperature of his palm, would be wiped clean in tomorrow's dawn, and that her happiness could never catch up with the speed of forgetting, her heart was in great pain. Just then, Toru beside her seemed to hear the silent scream in her heart.
破ってもいい?
僕は
The moment fireworks blossomed gorgeously in the night sky, their kiss stamped a real seal on this stumbling romance. However, fate seemed to always love planting foreshadowing at the happiest moments. On the day of the university graduation ceremony, Maori took photos in the crowd wearing her uniform, but Toru never appeared. Only Izumi knew the reason. Toru had sought her out alone not long ago. During that meeting, Toru took off all his sunny camouflage. He confessed a secret to Izumi that he had never mentioned to Maori. He inherited his mother's heart disease. Although he had been fine all along, a recent sudden faint sounded the alarm. The doctor told him he might leave suddenly at some unpredictable moment, just like his mother. With a calm voice carrying unshakable determination, Toru begged Izumi that if that day really came, to please erase all memories about him from Maori's notebook. He couldn't bear to become a sad chapter Maori had to review daily. He would rather have never existed in her textual world. Izumi agreed at the time, but held a naive hope in her heart, feeling everything was getting better and that if might never come. However, on an ordinary day, a shrill phone call shattered all lingering hopes.
弟は今朝亡くなりました。
That call was like an ice pick, piercing through all of Izumi's psychological preparation. Death arrived so without warning. The huge grief and the weight of reality almost swallowed her. She trembled in the empty room for a long time, finally deciding to take Maori to Toru's funeral to send him off on his last journey. However, when Maori saw Toru's portrait, her body uncontrollably began to back away.
彼のこと記憶にないのに顔だって写真でしか日記でしか覚えてもないのに
おかしくない誰が見ても二人はお似合いの恋人だったから
After returning from the funeral, Maori fell into an extremely painful breakdown. That sorrow stemming from the instinct of the soul hurt her more than any memory-based sadness. Izumi really couldn't bear to see Maori immersed in pain. She had to execute Toru's final request, as this might be the only way to help Maori. Sanae also joined in. Since it was her brother's unfulfilled dying wish, she would take on this responsibility for Toru. Late at night, with the tacit help of Maori's parents, Izumi took away that heavy diary. In a print shop, they first photocopied the original. Subsequently, Sanae began an incredibly difficult task. She completely deleted the person Toru from Maori's textual world. However, this diary recorded things too specifically and too sweetly. Those were not cold words, but a boy's unreserved love and a girl's clumsy yet fervent response. Finally, when modifying a certain part of the diary, Sanae couldn't hold back anymore and cried aloud. She wasn't editing a story. but a living life. Meanwhile, while organizing Maori's room, Izumi's fingers suddenly froze. She discovered a sticky note carefully pasted on a drawing board that read, "Don't forget Toru." At that moment, a huge sourness rushed into her nose. Izumi almost wavered, but the action could not be turned back. They put the modified, purified version of the diary back in its place, replaced the phone's photo album, and cleared all digital traces. And just like that, Toru was technically erased from Maori's world. The next day, Maori woke up and read the diary as usual. Her life seemed to really return to the track before knowing Toru, until one day, a turning point quietly arrived. Maori discovered she actually remembered hurting her foot with a pallet yesterday, while the diary didn't mention a word about it. According to the doctor's diagnosis, this tiny sign indicated that the dawn of recovery for her anterograde amnesia had really begun to appear. When she and her mother were tidying up the room, they unexpectedly found an unfamiliar sketchbook deep in the bookcase. Every page inside depicted the same boy's face. The brush strokes went from green to skilled, full of emotion. Maori was both confused and curious. She excitedly told Izumi about her condition improving and the discovery of the sketchbook. She asked Izumi who the boy in the drawings was and why she drew so many of him. Yet her diary had not a trace of a record. Izumi suppressed her surging emotions and explained with a prepared lie that it was a model hired when she was learning to draw before, and he had already gone abroad. Returning home, Izumi could no longer remain calm. She took out the secretly preserved original diary. When she saw that note, "Don't forget Toru," a huge sense of guilt almost drowned her. Was their self-righteous salvation actually a deeper cruelty? That boy had existed so truly and illuminated another person's life. What right did they have to completely wipe him out? Guilt and impulse drove Izumi to hold that diary, carrying the truth, and rush to Maori's house again. She decided to tell everything. However, when she pushed open Maori's door, the scene before her froze her in place instantly. Izumi's tears burst out. She had to tell Maori the truth.
どうしたの？
ごめんなさい。私、マオリの大切な記憶を取り上げてしまったの。
Izumi gently placed that original diary, heavy as amber of time, in front of Maori, telling her this was the real notebook, and the one she had now was tampered with.
また泉ちゃんにいっぱい迷惑かけちゃったんだね。ありがとう。私の大切な人の意志を尊重してくれて。
Opening this heavy notebook, Maori finally understood everything. Memories can be deleted, and diaries can be tampered with, but the love truly felt by the heart has long transcended the carrier of memory, turning into the instinct of the body, the imprint of the soul, and the involuntary trajectory under the pen. It was the boy with the clean smile in the diary who gently and firmly led her out of the cycle's cage of having no yesterday and no tomorrow day after day. He clearly knew every cruel truth about her forgetting, yet he chose, within the blank world she woke to each day, to repeatedly play the role of an ordinary person who appeared at just the right moment, offering radiant everyday moments as gifts, one day at a time. And his own life was like a silent guardianship. At the final moment of the shortcut, he chose to completely exit her story, only wishing to become a sorrow she would never have to flip through.
思い出を作れない私に恋愛感情なんて許されないから。
明日の日のも僕が楽しませてあげるよ。
けど彼は記憶のこと知ってたんだ。
二人で明日の君を騙そうよ。
知らないふりして思い出を作れない私に輝く毎日をくれたんだ。
どんな記憶も完全に消えるわけじゃないよ。
Sometime later, a real turning point appeared for Maori's anterograde amnesia. She began to be able to continuously remember things that happened within a few days. Fragments of memory were like shells revealed after the tide receded, gradually linking together. Although specific past events regarding Toru still slept in the unawakened deep sea, a vague and constant feeling had quietly taken root in her heart. On this day, she and Izumi came to the seaside to camp. Maori fell asleep to the familiar sound of waves, just like that summer day with Toru by her side. When she opened her eyes again, a perception-transcending vision hit her. She seemed to truly see that sunny boy again. This was her regained soul, finally recognizing the other soul that had once saved her. Memory might still have gaps, but the imprint of love had led her to complete this reunion across time and oblivion. Although he failed to exist in her memory, he inhabited the depths of her life forever in another way. Love perhaps failed to defeat death and oblivion, but it proved that it could be more immortal than both.